What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dude Nurse Show. You might notice I'm a little downtrodden. Um, like many of you, I watch the news. I actually try not to watch the news because I typically refer to it as the bad news because inevitably there's always something bad going on in the news. The other day, or was it yesterday, I happened to turn on the news and I saw that the assault weapons ban was turned over in California. The judge said, this is unconstitutional and I'm going to overturn it. So that was a huge win for gun enthusiasts and other law abiding citizens as myself who like to shoot just for fun. I don't personally hunt. I've got buddies that hunt. My father was a hunter. He always wanted to take me out, and I just never enjoyed it. But it's just not my thing. But I do like to go down to my local gun range and do some planking, or go out in the middle of the woods and get myself a nice big soft dirt backstop, big old hill or something, and just plank away. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of stress relief, and so the thing that really just pisses me off about this whole assault weapons talk is that if you look, you're not gonna. I mean, you can't find one definition of what the hell a quote unquote assault rifle is. No one can give it to you. They say, oh, well, if it has a detachable magazine, it's an assault rifle. If it has a pistol grip, it's an assault rifle. If it fires more than or holds more than so many rounds, it's an assault rifle. And some of them even interweave fully automatic or machine guns in with the semi-automatic rifles. And some people say, well, we're just going to go ahead and ban all semi-automatic rifles. And I'm like, or semi-automatic firearms. And I'm going, are you kidding me? So you want to relegate us to having to defend ourselves with muskets? Why don't we just, forget that? Why don't we just use freaking slingshots while we're at it? And it really disgusts me because, they're trying so hard to take away our guns, and the facts that they're, or supposed facts that they're spewing, they just don't add up. They just don't add up. Over the years, gun control in the United States, I'm sorry, gun ownership in the United States has gone up significantly, while overall the crime rate has gone down significantly. And if you look now, where the majority of the crime occurs are in these areas that are very anti-gun. Chicago, Chirac, they, I think last year or the year before, or maybe 2 years in a row now, I'm not sure, they you know led the nation in homicides. Um, and and Illinois is very tough when it comes to gun control. So New York, Boston, all of those places, the gun control laws are draconian. You know, um, people always ask me, well, Greg, why do you need an AR-15 to go hunting? And my first reaction is, it's none of your fucking business why I need, or want, whatever I want to go, do what I do. I'm not breaking any laws, so you don't mind yourself with what I'm doing. But sometimes I'll indulge them and I'll say, you know, um, an AR, me having an AR-15 has nothing to do with me going hunting. In fact, some people will argue that the 223 or 556 which are kind of your traditional calibers for AR-15s, they're not all that well suited for hunting deer and things like that because um, they're just not quite as powerful enough. Excuse me, to get the job done. I mean, you can, but you need to be closer. But some would argue that you might need a 30 caliber type round uh, in order to get it done. But anyway, so some people have argued that again, it's not ideal for hunting anyway, but it's, I mean, if I go into the woods and I have an AR-15 strapped on my back and I see a bear, I know that I'm going to have, 40 to 60 or even 100 chances to hit him, depending on, which mag I'm carrying with me that day, and how many of them. So, again, it plays a significant role in keeping me safe, because I like to go outdoors and, goof around and make videos and things like that for y'all. Um, but, and I personally too, I just don't, I am not in favor. I don't want to register my guns. I don't want to be part of some other government list. I know in some degree we're all on excuse me, some government list for something, but I don't want people to know what kind of guns I own. It's none of their business. And if all of this madness keeps up in terms of ban assault weapons, ban this, ban that, I mean, or make people register and do this and do that, you will see that you know the scary reality is that right behind all of that terribly scary rhetoric that I just repeated, the very next thing is confiscation. When Hitler went in and rose to power, he didn't just grab a tank and march in there and start shooting and doing all that. He didn't do that. He was very clandestine in his approach. He got elected, and then he started making little changes. And with these little changes, nobody really noticed. Oh, hey, well, next thing you know, he's banning the ownership of firearms. He's controlling the TVs, the television stations. He's controlling the airways. He's controlling what kind of books people can read. I mean, and just because this is America, that's not a far cry that can happen. You never know what the hell these crazy, selfish politicians will do. They're criminals and scumbags, and they collude with other criminals and scumbags to do their bidding for them. So, excuse me. I think a lot of it starts with having a conversation. I actually had the chance to have a conversation about this with a young lady when I was up in Washington back when COVID first started, and she had totally different views than me on guns, and which is fine. But at the end of it, my goal was not to change her mind, but she walked away going, Greg, I think I learned a little something. And I said, you know what? I don't remember her name, but I said, you know what? I did too. Thank you for the lovely conversation. And I think that's what's going to stick in someone's mind, after all said and done. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. But the second you take your opinions and your thoughts and views and start shoving them into other people's faces, that's when you cross the line. And a lot of people try to do that. They do it with religion. They do it with Black Lives Matter, Antifa, all kinds of things. They just start. Excuse me. They just start in, and they don't let up, and it's kind of ridiculous, Going back to what I said before, the citizens, we have to have similarly equipped rifles and whatnot if we were ever going to have to take on our own government. Our forefathers saw fit to say, you know what, hey, in case this gets too corrupt or whatever, let's put some provisions in there. And I'm really glad that they did. And every time somebody goes out and shoots someone, or shoots many people, it's not something that would make my day. I'm not like, oh yeah, great, another responsible gun owner. No, that person needs to be held accountable for their actions. And so too, then we need to figure out where did the breakdown occur? How did this person, who's obviously not quite all there, not quite playing with a full deck, how did this individual obtain this firearm? Was it stolen? Was it, and I really like the Grassley Cruz bill, because in the bill, the parts that I had read about it, talked about getting to the root of the problem. Now, if I know I'm a convicted felon and I go in and I try to buy a handgun, I should be arrested. It doesn't mean that I'm necessarily that I'm going to buy the gun to commit a crime. That doesn't matter. The law says that if you're a convicted felon, you cannot buy a firearm. Period. So if I try to do that and I were a convicted felon, I think there should be very stiff consequences and repercussions for these people's actions. They need to tighten up the background checks. They need to let the various systems talk to one another a little easier. There's a lot of things that can be done to improve, how guns are purchased. And I know if it were me and I had to wait an extra half an hour or even a day, if some new thing came in, I'd say, okay, well, it's not as fast as it used to be, but oh well. Excuse me. At least, I could say, okay, well, they're trying to make the world safer. So, that's the kind of common sense stuff we need. Confiscation is not the answer. And they're using this term, assault rifle, assault weapon, AR-15. They think, for God's sakes, that AR-15 means assault rifle or it means automatic rifle. No, it does not, you morons. It means Armalite rifle, because that is the company who invented it back in the late 50s, early 60s, I want to say. Then they ended up selling the design to Colt, and Colt purchased it, and they made the M4s, I believe, that went to Vietnam, which were AR-15 type rifles. So the AR-15's been around for a little while. Probably, I don't know, going almost 70 years. So it's arguably the most popular firearm, certainly the most popular rifle in America today. I don't know about other parts of the world. I know they have, a lot more. strict laws and rules and stuff. But they also think it means AR means automatic rifle, you know, and they constantly use the wrong terminology. And I don't know about you, but I mean, I just can't find any respect for a person that can't even come to the table, and I'm supposed to listen to this idiot, but yet he's not even on the same page with me as to what the hell we're supposed to be talking about, you know? And there's just fundamental disagreements, and it's interesting too that, all these senators and presidents and congressmen and women and, House of Representatives and all these things, when they go out, they have, bodyguards. And what are their bodyguards carrying? What the hell do they think they're going to use? A squirt gun? No, they're going to use firearms. So if firearms should be illegal, then they should be illegal for all people. I don't mean like police and all these kind of things, but these guys are choosing to have all these bodyguards and all these things. So my point is that it's much safer. It's much easier to say, oh no, these guns need to go, when you've got 3, 4, 5, 10 people standing behind you with pistols and rifles and God knows what to protect you in the event that something happens or somebody tries to get after you. So they will employ deadly force for sure. So, I mean, again, that's just hypocritical. And like I said, like it or not, the Second Amendment granted that to all people. It doesn't matter what color, race, age. The interesting thing was that, of course, the Second Amendment, they weren't talking about automatic rifles or AR-15s, because none of that stuff had been invented, back in the 1700s when all this stuff went down. But at least they had, the forethought to, think about the way things might be in the future. And if we were to ever, go to war, it might be, us citizens might be called on to protect ourselves. Think about it. If we had a country, say China, and they're going to come over here and invade us, China, and China's got, way more people than we do. I don't know about militarily speaking, but that doesn't mean you can't arm a civilian. So the Chinese are coming over. They've got us outnumbered, but yet now all of the citizens have given up their weapons. So we have nothing to fight with, nothing to protect ourselves with. What the hell kind of sense does that make? It's just ridiculous to me that these are supposed to be, some highly intelligent people. But what's worse than that to me is the fact that we voted for these idiots, we elected them, our tax dollars pay them to basically do and kind of control us and keep us in line. Tell us what they think is best, And I just don't get it, Sorry for ranting. I know, tonight I kind of sound like I'm in a bad mood. No, I'm not really in a bad mood. I'm just frustrated with a lot of the things that are going on in the world today, and especially like the double standards. And we'll talk about that I'll talk about that on the next show. We'll talk about the double standards that are just pervasive in this country. Yeah. Until next time, guys, take care of yourselves and each other. The Dude Nurse, out.